If you'd like to exchange your Magic Online cards for event tickets while logged in on Magic Online, you can do so by trading Mtgo Academy's official bot, Academy Buy Bot. You can find it in the Magic Online trading area or add it to your buddy list.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to draft. Born of the Gods, Theros. So, this pack is what we opened. Hunter's Prowess is definitely pretty powerful. You just make a creature huge, which is kind of what you want to do in this format, and then you just draw an amazing amount of cards. Spiteful Return and Forlorn Sudama are definitely nice black cards, but if possible I want to avoid playing black, although Spiteful Return is a good reason to move into it. Ghostblade Eidolon is not very exciting, and the commons are all weaker than what we have available here. I'm just gonna pick Hunter's Prowess. I really want to try it. Spiteful Return would be my alternative pick, but I like green in this format, and if I can start off with a green card, that's kind of where I want to be going. So here somebody else took the rare as well. Pinnacle of Rage and Odinous Riveter Trawler are really not that interesting, and Springleaf Drum I think is not a very good card in the format. Nyxborn Triton, Asphyxiate, Setessan Oathsworn, and Elite Skirmisher give us cards to pick from anything but red. Well, I guess you could count Pinnacle of Rage. So all colors have a decent pick here. Setessan Oathsworn would be just forcing the issue, going into green heroic. Nyxborn Triton is probably the most solid pickup. I don't like picking Asphyxiate, and I'm certainly not going to do it after passing this black pack. Elite Skirmisher is only okay, and I want to know if white is open. So for me, the pick is between Setessan Oathsworn and Nyxborn Triton. As I've said, Nyxborn Triton is just going to be good, pretty much always, and Setessan Oathsworn would be forcing the issue, just trying to move into into green as aggressively as possible. I'm going to be conservative, go with the blue card here, and see what's open before I move into a color. Perplexing Chimera is not a card that I like, but Sudden Storm is a very good blue card, which works nicely in blue-green. However, there's also Bolt of Keranos and a Chrome Conscriptor in the pack. A Chrome Conscriptor is one of my favorite cards in the format. It's very difficult to beat it if you build your deck around it. Just have ways to target the Conscriptor itself. Just a lot of cheap instants, then you just take over their whole team, 2 or 3 creatures, and kill them. And if you pass with the Conscriptor and play and have an instant in your hand, they are almost unable to attack usually. Now both of my spells target, so I kind of like just picking the Conscriptor here. I think it's far superior to the blue cards, and there isn't even a green card to consider. It's also much stronger than Bolt of Keranos, so I'm gonna go with the red card here. I like where this is going because now I have all the options basically. Green, red, all of these 2 color combinations are fine, are decent. They aren't the best you can do in this format, but that's not absolutely necessary. You just have to have a solid color combination and do what it does best. Grave Robber Spider would add black to the mix, which I want to avoid, and I'm not going to go all in by picking mediocre red commons here. I think Deepwater Hypnotist is my best choice. Alternatively, I could go with Nyxborn Eidolon, but I've already decided that I'm going to be passing black for this draft and focus on the colors that I've seen so far. Alright, it does look like black is definitely draftable here. Pinnacle of Rage and Fearsome Temper are nice red cards. Stratus Walk and Deepwater Hypnotist are nice blue cards. So I can pick the Hypnotist just to have another 2-drop, which is very valuable in this format. I could pick Fearsome Temper as it targets a Chrome Conscriptor and works quite nicely with what I have so far. And Stratus Walk doesn't excite me too much. It's really only a solid card, I think. 2-drops are very important in this format. I've been getting decent blue signals, and I'm gonna go with the 2-drop over a card like Fearsome Temper, which there are a lot of, maybe not the Fearsome Temper itself, but a lot of ways to get similar effects. Alright, here Loyal Pegasus is definitely an option. Green hasn't really been in these packs at all, so it was good that I didn't pick the Oathsworn on pick 2, and I have the Chrome Conscriptor, but nothing else. So I think the pick here is between Loyal Pegasus, Crypsis, and Sphinx's Disciple. A lot of people don't like the Disciple, but it can take over games pretty easily. Crypsis is also quite a nice card. Now that I already have 2 Deepwater Hypnotist, it becomes a pretty good combo trick. That should probably be the pick over Loyal Pegasus. I don't think that white is sufficiently open. I only saw a Nyxborn Shieldmate on Loyal Pegasus, and that just doesn't make a white deck. Oh, there's another Loyal Pegasus, so maybe I'm wrong with Elite Skirmisher also in the pack, but I'm happy with having picked up the blue cards so far. So here it's Unravel the Aether, Noble Quarry, or Rise to the Challenge, all of which are fine. None of them are too exciting. I kind of like having an instant way to remove enchantments in my deck, and Unravel the Aether is certainly more powerful than Rise to the Challenge. I would like to play the Conscriptor, but I'm going to go with the strongest card here, which I think is the strongest card in my colors, which I think is Unravel the Aether. Another Unravel the Aether, maybe not what I want, but certainly also playable, especially if I end up in blue-green. I do need some ways to deal with enchantments, and if I don't get the bounce spells, then Unravel the Aether is definitely a way to go. Deepwater Hypnotist number 3 or Stratus Walk are also fine, solid options. Stratus Walk does work quite nicely in blue-green as well if I end up there. I'm just not a big fan of the card. I'm actually going to go with a second Unravel the Aether seems wrong. A third Deepwater Hypnotist seems like the card that I want. Even though it's excessive, it just means that I'm not going to be bothering with a lot of 2-drops in the Theros pack, so I can focus on getting the more powerful bestow cards. And I'm even willing to play 2 Crypsis, I don't know what the plural is, if I have 3 Deepwater Hypnotists. There's still a small chance of going red, so I could pick Rise to the Challenge, or just go with the Mortal's Resolve, which works nicely in blue-green. Let's diversify a bit. Who knows what the third pack is going to bring. Flat-Tide Serpent would be good if we had picked up the Stratus Walks. Now it's just only a solid card. I'm going to go with the Walliker instead. Having a cheap card seems better to me. Impetuous Sunchaser or Flat-Tide Serpent. I actually don't know what's correct here. Flat-Tide Serpent seems like it's going to be better more often, but Impetuous Sunchaser has some nice... Well, both are good with Dragon Mantle, I guess. I'm going to take the Serpent. Wow, I don't know if I can call that being rewarded, but picking the Stratus Walk right after the Flat-Tide Serpent is definitely a welcome side. Alright, this is pack 2. And we have to decide where we want to go from here. A Crown Conscriptor definitely makes me want to be red, but Hunter's Prowess is also a card that means we could go into green, and blue is our base color. There's no denying that. In blue, there is Aqueous Form and Meletis Charlatan. I like Aqueous Form, but probably not as much in blue-green or blue-red. I like it best. Well, I like it in blue-red if you have the Flamespeaker Adept, but who knows if we can pick that up. It's also a card that you usually don't have to pick that early, but well, you never know. Meletis Charlatan I don't really like. It's really just a 3-mana 2/3. Nesting Cursor looks a lot more solid to me, even though there is the risk of not being able to play it in the end. But I'm not picking a red card out of this pack, and I think between Stymied Hopes, Aqueous Form, and Meletis Charlatan, I don't have to pick a blue card here. It does work quite nicely with the Hypnotist, the form that is, but I hope that I can pick up more solid cards throughout this pack. Boon Satyr means that I should probably be in blue-green from this point on. There's a Wavecrash Triton, which I would like to pick. There's a Dragon Mantle, which I'm now basically giving up on. Also, the second Karametra's Acolyte means that a more expensive blue-green green deck is also possible, but definitely taking the Boon Satyr here. It does make the mana a bit worse. It's just the price that you pay in this format, really. But I'm just gonna hope that things work out, and having a single double green card is certainly not a big problem. This pack is between Wavecrash Triton and Sealock Monster, and I like Wavecrash Triton a lot better. It's just very, very solid and helps you survive against some of the more broken starts in the format. Here, there's a Nylea's Presence, there's an Aquarius Form. I could also see myself picking Breaching Hippocamp, because it works quite nicely in conjunction with the Deepwater Hypnotists. Now, at this stage, I'm most likely not playing red at all. The Crown Conscriptor is still there, but I'm most likely not in the deck. So it's between Aquarius Form and Breaching Hippocamp. Now, honestly, Breaching Hippocamp is never going to be amazing. It's just kind of nice to have a combat trick when you play the Breaching Hippocamp. Aquarius Form, on the other hand, could help me raise a couple of decks. The Scry effect is certainly not irrelevant, and I just think it's a pretty good card, so I'm gonna take it here. Alright, good blue cards. Omen Speaker, Voyage's End, Triton Fortune Hunter are all very exciting. Now, Triton Fortune Hunter has the highest potential, but Voyage's End is the failsafe that you always want in your deck. I'm going to take this. If I would have this decision again, I might lean towards picking up a Fortune Hunter, but here the first bound spell is definitely the card that I want. Hunt the Hunter, not what I want in this kind of deck. Coastline Chimera, most likely not making the main deck, but it's actually quite solid, simply because it's a 1/5. And Agent of Horizons and Nalia's Emissary in the same pack. Agent of Horizons is fine, I can even activate it, but Nalia's Emissary is a great pickup. I don't have anything good in the 4-drop slot, and ways to target my creatures are always welcome. So here, Lost in a Labyrinth is pretty bad. Stymied Hopes is also not a good card. And Thessa's Bounty is just very expensive. I could actually see casting Thessa's Bounty in a deck like this, but I'm certainly not excited about it. I think I'm going to go with Stymied Hopes here. It's a card that you can play if you want to. Don't want two of them though, so I'm going to pick the Acolyte here, even though my deck doesn't look like it's set up to utilize it very, very well. Annul could be a main deck card, depending on how things go. With Unravel the Ether, I don't think that's going to happen, but I also don't need to pick a Witch's Eye or anything like that. Opline Unicorn is fine. I'm getting quite a bit of mana cards here, but that doesn't have to be bad. I even picked up a very late Aquarius Form, so it might have been a mistake to pick the first one so highly, but on the other hand, there wasn't really much in the pack, and I'm looking forward to just putting this on a Deepwater Hypnotist. I also have the Wavecrash Triton, maybe Boon Satyr, so the Aquarius Form certainly has targets. Alright, let's see what pack 3 has to offer. Voyaging Satyr and Savage Surge are fine green cards. Voyaging Satyr is a good card, don't get me wrong, but I'm not really interested in ramping too much, so it's a bit worse than it could be. Or that it is in other decks. Savage Surge is fine and everything. It's also a nice combo trick with Deepwater Hypnotist, but I don't think I need to pick it up as highly. I think the pick here is between Voyaging Satyr and Temple of Deceit. I just really like having scry effects in my deck to be prepared for the late game. So I think I'm just going to take the Temple and hope that the Savage Surge wields here. Alright, Police Crusher, sadly not splashable off the Temple. I still have the option to like splash Chrome Conscriptor and maybe now the Police Crusher. The question is if I'm going to see a Traveler's Amulet or if I will have to do it with an Opline Unicorn and maybe 1 or 2 mountains. With the power of the Police Crusher, I could actually see myself doing that, and I'm only passing mediocre cards anyway, so I'm going to go with the Crusher and see if that is actually a viable option. This pack has a Sedge Scorpion, so I'm going to slam that. It's a great card to have against all the broken starts in the format, at least non-flyer into Ordeal, which you can easily lose to. And yeah, not really losing much here. Alright, this is a pretty mediocre pack. Fate Foretold is the only card that I would consider playing. I have a Wavecrash Triton, so any kind of aura is more or less worth it. If I splash the Chrome Conscriptor, that's even more true, but definitely not excited to pick it. Here, Agent of Horizons is a card that I can actually activate, so I'm probably just going to take it. I don't need the Shredding Winds for the sideboard, I think. At least it doesn't seem to be super important to me. Yep, Agent of Horizons is a fine pickup. Here, Unknown Shores is interesting, but splashing a Chrome Conscriptor or Police Crusher with an Unknown Shores is quite expensive. The Conscriptor effectively would cost 6 and the Police Crusher 5 and 7 to activate, so just not an exciting card. I'm going to go with Savage Surge here. I have 2 Aquarius Forms already, and the Savage Surge is nice with the Hypnotists. It doesn't look like we are getting ways to splash the red cards. I'm happy picking up a Horizon Scholar this late, but I'm probably having to leave these in the sideboard. Oh, or do I? There's a Traveler's Amulet. So now this is the decision point. It's Traveler's Amulet or Triton Fortune Hunter. Traveler's Amulet would mean that I'm in a green-blue deck splashing for 2 red cards that are really good, but it does make my deck a lot less focused and also a bit more draw dependent. Triton Fortune Hunter is just a very solid card in this kind of deck with the 2 Aquarius Forms, 2 Crypsis, a Savage Church. I could just build a nice blue-green deck. I think this is where I should be heading. My mana base is going to be okay. I have the double green of Boon Satyr, but otherwise I'm fine. And I'm losing out on some power, but I don't think this deck needs to go into red necessarily. Benthic Giant isn't a card I like to play. Fleet Feather Sandal is also not amazing, but I'm just going to take it here. And there's another one, but I'm going to take Flamecast Wheel for the sideboard. If there's anything that I absolutely can't deal with in blue-green, I might bring it in. And here, let's just take the spell in our colors. I don't want to necessarily play against Portent of Betrayal, and it looks like red is quite open. Let's just take out some cards here. And then we'll build a sweet blue-green decks with what we have so far. Alright, let's see what we can make of this. We certainly didn't get the most powerful blue cards in the Theros packs. No Nimbus Naiads, no more bounce spells except for the one Voyage's End. So not super happy with how that ended up, but we'll make it work somehow. Let's get an idea of where we are here. Yeah, quite a lot of tricks, as is so often the case in this format. This is 16 creatures right now. We might just want to play all of them. But yeah, there's some of them are not very exciting. Now, I'm not going to cut any of the cheap cards. Look at how I picked 3 Deepwater Hypnotists in Born of the Gods and didn't pick up another 2-drop. I did pass the Voyaging Satyr though, to be fair. I like the 3-drops. I'm not the biggest fan of Coastline Chimera and Karametra's Acolyte for what I'm trying to do here, but it also doesn't seem absolutely awful. Now, Floodtide Serpent might be the weakest card in the bunch. I have 1 Stratus Walk, but none of my other cards really work well with the Floodtide Serpent. I might just cut it and rely on the Ferris Band Centaurs to hold down the ground. I also have Coastline Chimera for defense, so kind of like just getting rid of this. It also doesn't work nicely with this because you have to return it as part of the cost. So with Triton Fortune Hunter and Wavecrash Triton, it's just like always, you want to have the targeting effects in your deck, and then there is only very little space for other cards to play. And that could just mean Voyage's End and Unravel the Ether are the cards that I want in addition to what I have. And then the question is, do I cut some creatures? For example, the Coastline Chimera is just not very exciting. And maybe one of the targeting effects to have both Voyages and Unravel the Ether in my main deck. Now, Unravel the Ether it will usually have a target. So it's kind of like a 2-mana removal spell, which I like to have in blue-green. And it also helps you race because you can just mess with the opponent's plans for 2 mana. So what is the card that I should take out here? 2 Aquarius Forms is definitely pushing it, given that I don't have the best targets for it. But as I've said, I really like it. And it's kind of nice with the Deepwater Hypnotist, so you can continue getting in for damage, making a blocker smaller so that your other creatures can also attack. 2 Crypsis is a lot. I might just want to go down to 1. I could also see myself cutting either Stratus Walk or Fate Foretold. Both of them are not super amazing, especially Fate Foretold. I don't really want my creatures to die if I can help it, and it's only going to draw a card, whereas the other cards actually do something in combat. Yeah, I think I'm just cutting the Fate Foretold to be a bit more aggressive and proactive. And that leaves me with this build. I have 1 Boon Satyr. Everything else is single colored, which I really prioritize in this format, which is also why I wasn't too interested in playing red. I think having bad mana just loses you a lot of games. So I'm gonna run 1 more blue land, blue source, which works nice with a temple, and then I'm just gonna go 8/8, which is more than enough to support Boon Satyr, which I want to be casting on 5 anyway. So yeah, that should work out nicely. I have a solid late game, maybe not exceptional, but with the cheap cards and the scrying, I should get going and build a nice deck out of this. Let's see how it fares.